work. All right, looks like we're live. All right, good. All right, so hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, just getting all my morning cardio done. Thought I would say hello to you guys and gals. I just did a 32-minute run, but now it's time to get a little bit of bike stuff done. And yeah, got some errands probably to run here later this morning. Yeah, just trying to get everything sorted. So yeah, got a few client sheets and stuff to do, but otherwise, pretty straightforward morning. So just going to get lots of cardio in, to chat with you lovely guys and gals. It's going to be a whole lot of my content right now. It's just going to be these extra bike cardios. All right. So hey, Rufio, hit that like button for me. That would help. Let's get this into people's feeds. Yeah. But I'm hoping we get a nice, lively set of live streams here. It's a Saturday morning. We'll see what we get. Benjamin, do leg presses build the same parts of the quad as squats? Yeah, in theory. I mean, they should. If you look at the movement pattern, the knee and the hip is generally the same, Benjamin. Now, the squat's going to be a better overall mass builder. It's going to put more overall muscle on you, more overall athletic performance, because we have to think about that too, with our training. Are we training just to make a muscle big? Or are we training to be generally fit, generally strong, athletic, all these things? So I always remind that to guys, squats bring a lot more to the table. And I don't really care about, for bodybuilding purposes, I just personally don't care. I don't even entertain those questions because most of you guys aren't bodybuilders. Most of you are general fitness enthusiasts, and so you don't actually mean just for bodybuilding purposes, because none of you guys are making a living as professional bodybuilders. And if you are, you're probably not on a strength channel asking training questions. So always remember that, guys. So people lose sight of that, right? They lose sight of that something like a squat has a much larger systemic benefit and overall benefit, even if a leg press has the same potential for quad size. You have to look at the bigger picture, because again, reminding you guys, most of you are training for general fitness, health, athleticism, some sport. You're not bodybuilders, Oh gosh. So again, hypothetical question, but I don't know that it's really necessarily useful. So I'm going to give you that full detailed answer. But sure, hypothetically, yeah. Right. And what else we got? Rufio, you got any questions? I think people get too caught up in that one muscle with an exercise. We have to be realistic, man. Most of you guys don't have enough time at the gym to be worried about, does this work with just one muscle? You need to be worried about overall. And I get it if you compete in bodybuilding, but again, guys who are working on their pro card in bodybuilding are probably not hanging out on my channel for the most part asking training advice. So again, I feel like it's largely relevant to my audience. And even the people who make the videos and say, well, for bodybuilding purposes, it's not relevant to their audience. Their audience aren't professional bodybuilders either, right? For the most part, especially if they have 500,000 followers, there's not 500,000 professional bodybuilders in the world. Context. But so, again, Benjamin, the squat is a generally more useful exercise. Even if the leg press does work the quad in a very, very, very similar movement. And I think we get too caught up in the nuance, though, of these individual muscles and stuff sometimes, because the more you look at the data, the more we see that if we start doing multiple sets, very close to failure, to muscle failure, you have a high neural drive. Do you really think that muscle has anything left? Right. I'd love to know what the people look like who hang out in the comment section of Sam Saluk or Greg Doucette. Well, you can go look. So Rufio, check them on Facebook, not just the tubes. You can see their profiles. You can see their profiles. A massive chunk of them are really, do you even live? You know, because realistically, if they're emulating Sam's training and they're not on gear, they're not going to get very far. I know you recommend a 100-calorie surplus, do I? For those who need to go up in weight, but could we cut down to a lower tonight? Hey, Kong, we're getting so nuanced at that point. You know, I mean, can you really even eat a 100-calorie surplus, or should you, if you're trying to gain, just be looking for a general upward trend, a slow upward trend, like a pound a month? But the question I would ask for a lot of guys, do you even need that? Right? So what are your goals? So I wouldn't even prescribe, say, 100-calorie surplus unless we have very specific goals. So this is the sort of stuff that when I deal with people in consultations or I deal with clients, I ask them, no, I mean, really and truly, what are your goals with all this? Because some people may not need to actively bulk at all. Because people have this idea and they're always, well, I want to do this because, and I'm like, but see, coming around 160 doesn't tell me anything. What's your body fat? What's your height? How long have you been training? That's still not even useful information. But I do see what you're saying. But I mean, a slow upward trend. You can't get a 100-calorie surplus. You can't do a 50. Like, I want to be clear. You do not have the money to own the equipment to measure that. If you're like, well, dude, I make $300,000 a year. So in other words, you don't make enough money to afford the equipment to measure that. You need like a $500,000 lab. And you can't really have a job because you got to be hooked up to the machines. All your oxygen has to be measured. You know, you can't be leaving the room. If you really want to be that, with it, like to say 100-calorie surplus, man, to be that close, $500,000 of equipment, and you have to be locked in the room with it 24/7. So again, I don't really say 100-calorie surplus. No, I just say general upward trend. If you want to make lean gains, don't gain more than a pound a month. That's all I'm saying. My preference, 100 calories is impossible to track unless you weigh every meal. No, that's not good enough to track 100. Preference, you don't even know what your maintenance calorie, you don't even know how many calories you eat a day. That close. Like, do you know what the margin of error is? This is why I say, honestly, you guys could just focus on just adjusting based on the scale and mostly recomp or slowly gain or lose weight from wherever you are, unless you're fat, then you need to cut. My preference. So what do you think the margin of error is on a digital scale for calorie tracking? If you weigh everything with a digital scale, how big do you think your margin of error is versus if you were to run it all through like a blast furnace and measure the calories of your food intake? How far off do you think that is? About up to 10%. So if you're trying to eat 3,000 calories and you're weighing it with everything with a digital scale, you're eating 2,700 to 3,300. You have about a 600 calorie range. That's if you weigh everything. If you weigh it, 5 to 10% margin of error. So all you're doing is ballparking. Hey, Benjamin, that's not what I've said. You're definitely misquoting me. You're massively misquoting me. Why does the parallel or not matter? Because the knee angle could be different from person to person based upon your stance. The hip to knee angle isn't the determining factor. I did not say going deeper will not affect quads. Do you understand the difference? It's because you don't understand joint angle specificity. The deeper the knee angle, which is not relevant to whether you hit parallel or not. Right. So Benjamin, but you do understand what I'm saying. Okay. Your parallel is a power lifter metric. It is not a joint angle specificity metric. That's why how close or above or below you are parallel is not the measurement by which you're going to determine quad stimulus. And if you don't believe me, go make some videos of yourself from the side. Stop at parallel. Do a really wide stance with a low bar, and then do a closer stance with a high bar and stop at parallel and look at the difference. The knee angle will be dramatically different. There will be up to 10 to 15 degrees difference in knee angle at your parallel. The deeper the knee angle, the higher the hypertrophic potential in theory for the quads. Now that hip angle is going to help, is going to matter for glutes more. But you're dealing with biarticulated muscles in two different joints. Okay, do you understand what I'm saying? Generally, the deeper the knee or the hip angle, the higher the hypertrophic potential for the quad and the glute respectively, at least in terms of the lengthened position. So you're definitely misquoting. You're definitely taking stuff I'm saying out of context. Okay. So when I say parallel isn't relevant to quad growth, it isn't. But knee angle sure as hell is, because parallel is an arbitrary metric we use for powerlifting purposes. Now, if you're trying to get big, you need to be below parallel, irrespective of what's going on with that. Anything above parallel is nowhere near full range of motion, right? So I'm not telling you guys. So when I make that statement, I'm saying that's not the determining factor. I'm not telling you to squat high. Let me be clear. That is not what we are saying. Actually, the argument would be parallel is not a good metric because on certain types of squats, you're going to have to go a lot deeper to get full range of motion. Depending upon stance, structure, biomechanics, you may need to go 5 inches below parallel to get all the joints involved to their fullest range of motion. Yeah, he definitely needed this lesson. I agree. Why do we only have 2 likes though with this many people commenting? That's what I want to know. I'm not going to answer the Lyle McDonald thing again. We've discussed over and over and over the pros and cons of Lyle McDonald, my opinion on him as a person, my opinion on him. It's just not relevant anymore. Cliff notes. Lyle's extremely smart, knows a lot. He's a complete asshole. There's the cliff notes. Extremely smart guy, horrible personality. There's your cliff notes. Drop those likes for Daddy. Benjamin, it depends on individual structures because of the joint angles. Okay. How do I state this again? Only because different people are going to have different joint angles at different depths. Now, the joint angle is not going to vary because of the individual. Full range of motion of your joint, of your knee joint, is not the same. It's not different from person to person. It's just going to be a different hip position or a different structure relative to your stance width and bar position. Right? So we've really made this complicated, but let's simplify it. Let's bring it down to layman's terms. Irrespective of what's going on, the deeper you squat, the probably, notice I didn't say definitely, is most likely going to have the most potential for muscle growth. Again, we're talking squeezing the last 0.5%. You could build massive quads squatting an inch above parallel. Let's just be clear. You go heavy enough with enough intensity, sets close to failure, you could build massive ass quads an inch above parallel, right? However, are you talking about getting that last 1%? Well, you may want to consider the longest ranges of motion possible in that context. Is it going to be enough to truly be a measurable difference? Maybe not. So we're talking about reaching the largest potential of what is most likely to give you the last 0.5%. Probably would be the longest range of motion. And the reason I say that, someone say, but I know a guy who did half reps and got really big. Well, sure, but he only reached 99.5% of his potential. He could have been 0.5% even more really big. But then you have to ask yourself, is it that important in the grand scheme of things? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe you just enjoy squatting heavier and you don't mind being right at parallel, because you can do 500 pounds instead of 450 or whatever. And you like it and you enjoy it and you're more consistent. Benjamin should drop a super chat donation and give Adding a Big Egg with an answer. I agree, Rufio. He should drop like $10 for that. I agree, man. What quality of life differences do you see in lifters who do lots of cardio versus those who just lift at similar body comp? Well, they don't die as easy. How about they can walk up a flight of stairs without dying? How about they can take their woman to Pound Town for more than 3 minutes without being like, I can't breathe, I need you to get on top. Right? How about that? Right? You're not a 3-pump chomp. How about the fact that you just feel better? You have better blood work, you're fitter. How about all these quality of life differences? You know? Quality of life, man. Being fit. Going deeper is better for the knees too, knee problems. They can potentially, yeah. Can be the case. I'm going to wind down the profile here. That's probably enough. We were triple dipping. We got to be triple dipping on all that ad revenue. Right. And generally true that people with shorter femurs don't have to squat as deep to hit parallel versus people. No, that's not necessarily true. Now, I mean, are you talking about, is it the cause or are you talking about a correlation? feel like you need to go take some 6th grade geometry. This is basic, like 12, 13, 14-year-old school kid level math. This is basic geometry. So this is your just basic geometry, Benjamin. So when you look at the body and that, is it more likely that a Charmer femur lifter can squat with a narrower stance if they need to? They're going to have a wider variety of stances to where they can get good leverages at, in and out. Therefore, yeah, they may have the potential of reaching depth easier because they have more wiggle room on where they can put their feet. My preference, yeah, but that's not necessarily the factor. It's not about that, right? I mean, we know that doesn't matter on deadlift. The tallest people tend to be the strongest deadlifters. So it's not always about range of motion. What we're looking at, though, with the femurs is how long is their femur relative to their spine. You're looking at the ratio. People with longer femurs tend to have a longer ratio of femur to spine length. So again, think of the two, right? And then think of the bar having to stay over your midfoot to maintain balance. Okay, you understand where we're going with this? Shorter femurs, meaning a better femur to spine ratio, going to have more wiggle room with what stances they can get away with and be comfortable. Again, basic geometry, guys. Luke over on the Facebook says, life feels a lot better when your cardio is out in, right? I mean, you don't get out of breath all the time. Look how out of shape the average pro bodybuilder is. My God. That's why they train the way they do. These dudes are out of shape and use too many drugs. That's why we even have this argument of the leg press versus the squat, isn't it? The drug side effects and just being so out of shape, partially because the high drug doses destroy your cardiovascular conditioning and everything else. Whew. Right? Change the whole thing. Chiropractic, I don't have, that would be a whole book. Like, could you ask something very, 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 very specific? Because thoughts on chiropractors, this is only going to be an hour bike ride, dude. Like, where do we want to go with this? Because I don't actually stand around. So I could answer that, sure. I don't think about chiropractors at all for the most part. So there's your answer. But if you have something very specific you want to know, I mean, we could discuss a little bit. Thoughts on Roger Jackson being easily offended, getting a speed ticket? What? I just don't care. Like, I've seen some minor scuttlebutt through social media. People ask me, I don't really know who he is. He's some guy who hit some guy or something, and the guy's dad got about it on social media, and it's some fighter who hit somebody or something at a thingy. And the amount of fucks I do not give and don't care about any of these celebrities, I could care less. Like, even knowing the existence of this person has no impact on my life or any of our lives in any way. Unless you're betting on him in a fight or something. I guess if you got money on the line, I don't know. I just don't follow celebrity stuff. I just don't care. I just really don't. I don't know him. I don't know anyone who knows him. Who cares? That's my thoughts. Some guy who hit some other guy or something outside of a sanctioned event and hurt them over a wrestling match or an MMA fight or whatever. Meaningless nonsense. Everything that chiropractors do that is safe and effective as a chiropractic. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of controversy. I'm not saying I've never used a chiropractor a little bit and had some luck, but there's definitely, I would proceed with caution with it. It's not really a hard medical science. Right. Luke says, hey, Jason, massive news. A human had a conflict somewhere and injured a human, right? Hey, Rufio, I didn't see anything about Big Lenny in the news either. I don't know. How about we don't think about or put energy into that? Like, why would we even want to? I thought you were a fan. Why would you even want to put energy into that nonsense? Let's not do that at all. How about we talk about living? How about we talk about living and thriving? Notice I didn't go there with the whole whatever assaulting people thing. You guys know my normal position. You already know how I feel about people who walk around assaulting other people, and people don't need my extreme opinion. I'm like, dude, that should just be death penalty. We just don't need people like that on the face of the earth. People who walk around hitting other people outside of sanctioned events, violent thugs, I think should just get the death sentence to the back of the head. Done. We don't need them. Next, world will be a better place. There's my opinions. Since people are asking, now let's get over to more happy stuff. The chiro diagnosis has been treating a disc issue in my neck. So this is not the subject matter that I cover here. Because again, you're dealing with disc issues, you're dealing with stuff where you're getting different treatment. This is not information that I discuss on my channel. This needs to be between you and your medical practitioners. I don't give advice in public on these sort of things at all. Right? And that's just a general responsibility and safety thing. There comes a point where I know that I need to stick to my wheelhouse. Do incline presses 30 degrees work the middle and lower chest as much as the flat press? Probably not. Okay. Do you believe if someone goes crazy one day and eats 10,000 calories, they'll be fine as long as they get back to the diet the next day? Define. So future, I need you to be very specific in your wording. Will they be fine? What does that mean? Could you tell me biologically what they'll be fine means? Make sense? I need you to be specific of what you're asking me. Now, are you trying to ask me how much body fat could they possibly gain in that 24 hours? So where are we going? Like, let's get a specific biology question. Thoughts on training full body once a week to allow more recovery and keep our CKP in shape. Yeah, that's not going to happen. I'm going to ask a simple question. Do you really think one set a week for a non-novice is going to consistently allow you to progressively overload? Like, there's your problem. You're throwing out hypotheticals of like, well, if I only worked one day a week, but I got paid $1,000 an hour, would I be able to pay my bills? That's the sort of question. I'm like, hey, that sounds great. Who's paying you this $1,000 an hour? It's a nice hypothetical, but what delusional world do you think you're going to progressively overload off only one set a week and one workout a week with one set of muscle or one set for exercise? Do you really think that's going to happen with that low a volume enough that you're going to see muscle growth? Right. Meaning, would they just put on a bunch of body fat from that one day? How much is a bunch? Hey, future, you're being very, very vague. So are you asking me how much body fat can the human body store in a day? Is this what you're asking me? Like you keep going, well, they'd be fine, a bunch. Well, I don't know what a bunch is. Hey, Luke, it does, but it's not the way that you think. Like you do know that if you ate 10,000 calories a day, you're not gaining 10 pounds of fat in a week. It's never been done in the lab. Calories in, calories out is dependent upon what you eat. Your calories out could vary by thousands of calories in a single day. Okay. Hypothetically, they might gain almost half a pound of fat from that bench. Now, could I prove that? No, because that's never been done in the lab. I don't think they've ever seen adult men on sedentary overfeeding exceed about 2 to 2.5 pounds of fat per week on a DEXA scan. Right? Sean, I appreciate you becoming a work warrior. So realistically, you could extrapolate that to maybe up to hypothetically half a pound of fat from that bench. Can I prove that? No, because no one's ever gained that much in the lab. It's probably less. But let's throw out a worst case hypothetical. They might put on half a pound of fat. Thoughts on 4 sets comprising 1 warm-up set. I don't do warm-up sets on any of my supplemental work review personally. Like I don't do warm-up sets before rows or weighted pull-ups. I just go straight to the weight. I just go to 265 on a row. I don't even bother. Me personally. Every person I know, including myself, who worked out 3 to 5 days a week, sooner or later cortisol inflammation. Really? I don't have that problem. I train 3 days a week. I run 3 days a week. I lift 3 days a week really hard, squat, bench, and deadlift and all that. And I do list cardio 7 days a week. I don't have this problem when I'm 48 years old. What are you talking about? And let's not pretend that I'm not lifting heavy weight. All my lifting days, you guys watch me do reps with 500 pounds on the deadlift. You watch me do reps with 315 on the bench. I'm 48. I train like that 3 days a week. What are you talking about? Maybe you need to get your programming and nutrition and rest. You've got some fatigue management problems, but this other extreme is not going to work. Mike Menzer was crazy. Mike Menzer wrote a bunch of crazy stuff. So Ronnie over on Facebook said, keep in mind, Menzer didn't train anything like the crazy stuff he wrote about, and nobody was ever a successful bodybuilder off his later works, not one person. Have you ever incorporated any type of Olympic lifting? Yeah, when I was younger, I did some cleans and stuff early on. I had some phases. I don't have the shoulder mobility to do cleans right now. I like stuff like that. If my shoulders and stuff allowed for it, I'd probably work in some cleans and stuff, but I can't physically do them at the moment. Hey, Jason, I think you should focus more on veganism over carnivore since vegans get in the way between us and steaks. Carnivores aren't a threat. Sean, because simply put, while I think both are cults, right, let me be clear. I oppose both veganism and carnivore, right? I oppose both. Technically, carnivore is more dangerous to your health. I'm not saying veganism doesn't hurt people's health either. Let me be clear. So before you take that too far and before you think that I'm saying veganism doesn't harm people, I did not make that statement. I don't advocate either. But push come to shove, you are more likely to die young and have health problems from a carnivore diet than you are a vegan diet. And it's more militant and aggressive. Carnivores are more aggressive in their recruitment and being crazy and coming at you than vegans are, in my experience. So I'm going to continue to come at both equally. All right. Totally fair. I'm doing grip diameter test for 4 sessions. A good less missed test of current. How about you just look at performance? Your performance workout tells you where you're at on recovery. Are you getting weaker session to session? Then you are absolutely 100% not recovering. Hey, Kate, I'm going to check out your size and strength. So I'm going to go to your channel. And so if you're going to make these arguments, I want to see, you don't have any gain. You don't have any videos of you lifting. We don't have any videos of your muscle. So you're in no position to even talk to anybody else about what they're doing. As far as I can tell, you don't even lift. I just checked your channel. I don't see any lifting footage. I don't see you doing rep work with 500 on a deadlift. I don't see anything happening. What are you talking about? All right. What is your box jump goal? I don't have a goal. I'm just jumping to train explosiveness. And I'm saying that you really don't know what you're talking about. All right, so you were following fringe people who have been debunked like Menzer. Nobody successful truly followed Menzer's stuff later. He went crazy and got high on a bunch of meth, and his work was all methed out, crackhead work before he died. It's nothing like what he used when he was training, was an actual bodybuilder. Okay. All right. So again, you're not understanding the point. No, plenty of people train 3-4 days a week and make amazing progress and become elite without overtraining just fine. All right. Now we start talking 5+. I might be inclined to agree with you without drugs. Vegan Gains we've discussed this in previous lives. He's been on drugs at least 8 or 9 years. What do you mean he just started? He just admitted it? Hey, everybody, I'm new here. What's up, sugar? Brohan, why does we have to do with training he did while being a bodybuilder? Right, Brohan, it doesn't. Because Menzer's training looks nothing like what he preached later. He was not he quit lifting years before he started writing all that stuff. He didn't even work out anymore. Yeah, no, he didn't start August 1st. Everybody knows this. Hey, Jason, do you enjoy barefoot jogging? Yes, I do. And Broham, it's relevant because this is a person talking about maximizing his recovery and gains, and he's using an absurdly ineffective method. So if you're going to get up and promote something that we know is not really going to work, right? Then let's see. I want to see the progress. Let me be clear. If you're going to get up and you're going to promote an extreme training method that we know doesn't work, you better have some progress to show for it. You know? Like, let's see some gains. Like, I want to see some strength and some muscle of some type if you're going to promote something that we know doesn't work and argue it. Okay, since the science is not on your side, so people say, well, science doesn't measure, but I've done it. Does that make sense? Rohan, but what he's promoting won't. Are you sure most training methods are going to work? So do 1 set a week. He's talking about going to the gym 1 day a week and doing 1 set per exercise and not going to the gym again for 6 days. And go to the gym for 45 minutes once a week. You really and truly think you're going to get jacked doing that? And it's going to be superior to 3 or 4 days a week? Because that's what he's claiming, Brohan. Yeah. So if you have something that study after study after study after study after study, anecdote after anecdote after anecdote in the real world have proven to be false, you better have some evidence. No, he's not going to make gains. You'll make gains for a short time, but you're telling me someone who's already built a base is going to make gains doing that? I'm going to say, no, you're not. I'm going to say, no, you're going to regress. Right. Hey, Bro Hammond, I'm telling you as a coach that you're flat wrong. When you say not as much gains are still possible, no. I'm telling you that most people who have built a base are going to lose muscle doing that. I'm telling you that you're not going to keep what you have. You're going to start regressing. You're going to start losing muscle. It will not be sufficient stimulus to keep what you already have. That is what I'm saying. Not saying it's going to be rapid, but let's say you've built a pretty good base and you train that way. In a year, unless you add steroids, you're probably going to be a little bit smaller. Okay. Is barefoot jogging better than with shoes? I think so. I like it. Okay. Ronnie's asking me something in Facebook. Forgot to ask. I just acquired a log press bar, 120 pounds. I've ever used this bar. I've messed with one a long time ago, a little bit at one of the gyms that had it. I've had clients who use them for strongman training. I think the log press bar is a good piece of equipment. So me personally, I don't have a lot of personal experience, but I've coached clients who use it. In fact, Ted, if you look at my client Ted, some of his recent blogs were using it. So yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a very useful piece of equipment, right? But again, the real benefit is that ability to have to clean it up into position and do really that neutral press. No, I think it's a good movement. I think it's a good piece of equipment. I think cleaning and log pressing is a good training method, right? For size and strength. All right. Kara, no, that doesn't happen to everyone. Most advanced lifters get weaker. Again, I already know you're small and weak. You told me everything I need to know. Bro, I lose strength. If I were to go 2 weeks without training, every lift I have will go down. Every single one of them. 3 sets per week is the absolute bare minimum per week. I'm going to agree. That's kind of your minimum. All right. Jason, do you think at some point all men will need TRT? The only jack guys? Well, yeah, of course. Eventually, everyone is going to have their testosterone decline. It's a matter of time. Best advice for staying injury-free in the game into your 40s like yourself: fatigue management, avoid overuse, stay in good shape, be careful with too much isolation movements, keep your diet on point to control inflammation. Anti-inflammatory diet is one of the best things you can do just to keep your injury rates low. Antioxidant status high. Right? Keep your protein high, antioxidants extremely high. Right? And I would say the same thing we're talking about. You probably don't want to train and lift more than about 4 days a week. Okay, so look at my food as I post. Perfect example. My diet's very anti-inflammatory. You see pictures of all of my food every day is posted up on social media, right? So anti-inflammatory foods, whole grains, fruits, vegetables, nuts, right? Should be the foundation of your diet. Animal source needs to be relatively lean, keep saturated fat in check. Avoid refined sugars, avoid refined oils completely. Right. Yeah, sorry, man. I'm not going to endorse one set a week and training only 1 day a week. Sorry, that's just not going to happen. You're not going to convince me. I want to see your extreme drug-free results before you can even have that conversation, because this has been so heavily debunked in the lab that it's not even a conversation. Right? So you don't eat much fruit? No, sometimes I do. Sometimes I do a lot of fruit. I tend to stick with more grains though for most of my calories. All right. Yeah. I think you're going to find it's going to be hard to maintain progress if you were actually strong and big. You're going to start losing size doing it. Cups. Like when I eat fruit, dude, I'd be eating a couple thousand calories of fruit in a day. No, I mean, like if I'm going to do fruit, I'll do a cantaloupe every day, or I even do a whole watermelon and I'll take a big chunk of my calories. But I mean, I go hard in vegetables. So like, again, look at my meals yesterday. You saw a lot of brown rice, broccoli, peppers, chicken breast, right? It's all Greek yogurt with protein powder and raw honey mixed in. But tons of brown rice, tons of broccoli, tons of bell peppers. If you look at yesterday's meals, for example, you enjoy your food a lot. Yeah. No, I actually enjoy low palatability because I don't eat junk food, so I'm not used to it. So I have a very sensitized palate. So yes, brown rice with a little honey and soy sauce tastes great to me. No, I don't, because my antioxidant status is going to be through the roof, Rohan. Keeping in mind the sheer food volume of the amount of this stuff I eat. Right? Well, I mean, for example, take yesterday. I had about a pound of broccoli, an entire pound of broccoli. Most of my calories from brown rice, which has antioxidants. Then I had all those bell peppers, right? That is an enormous antioxidant load. And I have some days where I'm eating a couple pounds of vegetables. And everything is whole foods. So everything is antioxidant rich. And that is how I eat every day. Then I had some spinach in there too. I forgot that. There was spinach put into some of that brown rice dishes too. Right? So broccoli, spinach, bell peppers, brown rice was almost the entirety of my non-protein foods. But I never eat less than a pound of vegetables a day, and that's like bare minimum plus all the whole grains. So again, keep your antioxidants high. But that for me, that's every day. Like I don't have that occasion. That is like a 7-day-a-week thing. How do you cook chicken breast consistently? In a roasting tray in the oven. Again, look at my social media. I put up the pictures when I prep it. In fact, I have some cooking right now in the oven, still cooking. Shanto, I thought brown rice was more toxic and tore the gut up more than white rice. Quit listening to clowns. Who told you that? What clown ass stupid motherfucker told you that? Who told you that, Shanto? It wasn't me. It didn't come from my channel. You didn't hear it from me. I promise you that. Ronnie says, I'm trying to keep my enthusiasm going. I'm 66 now, but making fairly decent progress. So I'm experimenting with some movements that I've never done before. What do you think of the Zercher? You spelled it wrong. Have you had any experience or results? Zerchers can be useful. I generally favor the back squat for the most part over a Zercher, but it can be a useful lift. Farmer's walks, I have Farmer's walks handles. I've used them. I think they're good conditioning, good GPP work. High SHB levels can't be lower naturally, sure. More carbohydrates can lower it a little bit. Why do you care? Like, why are you worried about all that? Unless you're going to be injecting testosterone, I think it's kind of silly to worry about that too much. So you don't eat blackberries or berries for heart health. Where did I say that? Rohan, like if you check, I occasionally mix in random fruits and vegetables all the time. It's not like an everyday thing, no, because I tend to get my calories mostly from starches, right? But no, those are perfectly fine. I think blueberries are great. I just don't do them that often. Occasionally, I'll buy a bag of frozen blueberries and mix them in. What's up, Vino? I'm also on Facebook. To hit me up there. I'm not going to be on here much longer, though. He's a regular both platforms. Stand efforting plus a load of primal. Okay, the primal folks are all crazy. They're anti-science quacks, like it's a cult. Like run from all that nonsense, Shanto. Run from it. They're going to harm your health. You said you eat broccoli and peppers, which aren't as high in antioxidants. Okay. Hey, Brohan, I feel like you're just a troll at this point. Jesus Christ. I literally eat thousands of calories of whole fruit every day and occasionally throw some different fruits in, but I eat piles of vegetables and you're going to argue about my antioxidants. Yeah, I think it's time for you to go. You're clearly a troll, dude. Hey, Bino, I appreciate you coming in on both platforms there, man. I'm just kidding, because all he does is argue. Like, did you guys catch that? I don't think he even lifts. Let's get rid of him. To literally argue, well, I don't think you're eating enough antioxidants. I eat pounds of vegetables every day, and I eat Jesus food. I just can't. I can't. Hey, Shanta, yeah, the whole primal and the entire carnivore movement is a crazy, deadly cult, not based on science, who are all going to have many of them are having health problems. Notice if you'll see in some of my videos, people are coming in discussing, yeah, I actually really hurt my health with carnivore. I wish I hadn't done it. You're seeing tons of those are just not being advertised yet. You're going to see more of it. I mean, look at Sean Baker's blood work. Tells you everything you need to know, right? Multiple cardiologists have looked at his blood work and said he may be a medical doctor, but he doesn't know what he's doing. He is going to have a heart attack. How close to bed do you eat? I mean, within a couple hours. I eat all my food in the afternoon. I mean, it's starchy carbs all through there. I mean, I eat over 500 grams of carbs every day, all of it afternoon. And I go to bed early. From a health perspective anyway, right? So Sean Baker is going to have a heart attack. Multiple cardiologists have looked at the blood work he puts out and they're like, this is going to kill him. So once he has that first heart attack, that will be the death of the carnivore movement. I think that'll pretty much be, we already had the nail in the coffin, but they're too stupid to see it. That keto study we had earlier this year was the nail in the coffin. Like that was the coup de grace. No sane person who's scientifically literate looked at that and would dare do that sort of diet. They'd be terrified of it. I plan to start training fasted. I train at 6 a.m. Think of starchy carbs right before bed should help. Yeah, I mean, well, you're going to eat them all the way through. It's not necessarily right before bed because I'm sometimes finishing eating at 4, 5, 6, and then I go to bed a little later. But it's all still digesting. You didn't see the whole keto study? You didn't see the whole lipid, the LDL keto study this year. I mean, I linked it everywhere, dude, on all my social media and my community tab, made videos on it. It was the biggest piece of news in the fitness world. Every nutrition guy covered it. I don't even know where the +5 hat of weaponsmithing is. I might have accidentally thrown it out. So I might not actually have it. So Shanto, briefly, a group of pro-keto researchers cherry-picked from keto groups their group for the study to try to make a really good keto study to be pro-keto, okay? Funded by keto interests. The whole study was done by pro-keto researchers who believe in ketogenic diets. This is a smaller demographic. The study came back and they refused to publish their data and their conclusions until other researchers forced them to publish the data. And when they published the data, everyone went nuts. Even Lane Norton went off on it. They're metabolically healthy keto people with high LDL from a high saturated fat diet who had no diabetes, all metabolically healthy, all at healthy body fats, healthy body weights, all athletic and lifted. Right? Their plaque formation was through the roof. So during that 1 year study, the amount of new arterial plaque, those metabolically healthy, physically active, non-obese white males, that was 85% of the group, all accumulated, which is the most resistant to atherosclerosis compared to other groups, by the way, less likely to have problems. Guess what? They all accumulated arterial plaque at a rate you would expect an unmedicated type 2 diabetic. It was extreme. Yet all their other blood work was fine. The only thing that was elevated was their LDL-C was really high. Every one of them accumulated large amounts of arterial plaque during that 1 year study. All of them. Enough that it's a concern. Therefore, we could look at any high saturated fat, even ketogenic diet in healthy, fit people that has elevated LDL is a death sentence based upon that study. They absolutely will eventually have a heart attack from it. And that was a pro-keto study. The researchers, it was funded by keto interests and pro-keto companies, paid for the study. They stacked the groups, and they're like, when you look at it, they tried to make groups to cherry pick. They went out of their way to stack the group as favorable as they possibly could. And the data still showed terrifyingly bad results. The Venus says, do you feel that fasting hinders longer powerlifting sessions versus training later the day after meals strictly from a heavy? Dude, I do fine on really high volume powerlifting sessions fasted. No problems at all. You guys have watched me squat 500 pounds fasted and then do a 2-hour workout afterwards. Completely fasted just fine. Have I not? At age 48. No problem. And then I went and did cardio before breakfast. I don't see any problem. I'm used to training fasted. When I eat and have tried to train, my performance tanks. My strength and endurance drop to nothing when I eat because I'm so used to training fasted. It absolutely kills my performance to eat first now that I'm so adapted to it. Shanto, well, it's from saturated fat and then elevated LDL, right? Which is caused by the saturated fat and other factors, but they all had elevated LDL-C. And we know that LDL is the driver of atherosclerosis. It's the primary driver. All right, I'm going to shut down the Facebook. And then I'm going to get ready to shut down the tubes. Just wanted to hit that hour. All right, guys. So I'll catch you guys next time.